Thank you, Ben. As Ben said, here is Barbara Bates Smith with a new Lee Smith novel. Being so glad to be back in Abingdon and remembering 17 years ago meeting Lou Crabtree for the first time on her front porch. And she says, "Is this Barbara Bates Smith?" Like, you better be something. I took it as a challenge. Ben, did we say there's an intermission?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I'm saying there's an intermission. I'm throwing that in 10 minutes. Well, I was doing Ivy Row then, from Fair and Tender Ladies, as he said. I still love doing Ivy Row from Fair and Tender Ladies, even after Ben more than 600 times now. And now here comes this irresistible Molly Petree. And as he said, with the added challenge, 3 other characters telling parts of Molly's story. A headmistress, a teacher, and a mountain man. A story uncovered in a graduate student's project submitted to her professor.
Dear Professor Farrell, to support my graduate thesis, I'm sending you a unique collection of documents and other stuff, rocks, dolls, and bones, some human and some not, found in the remodeling of Agate Hill Plantation. Please look first at the diary of a young girl, Molly Petree, which also contains the reflections of Molly as an older woman shortly before her death.
Dear diary, these years have passed in the twinkling of an eye as in the Bible. Yet here is this bad girl Molly, as wild and full of longing as ever. An old woman and still a child. But more than a child. For I know what I know, yet still feel exactly the same in my heart. These young girls don't know that, do they? I could tell them that thing does not wear out. I would do it all again, every bit of it, just to see his face, my demon lover, my Jackie boy, my husband. Sometimes I think I dreamed you up. And who were you, Miss Molly Petree? You strange and willful child. This book belongs to me, Molly Petree, age 13 today, May 20th in the year of our Lord, 1872, Agate Hill, North Carolina. I am an orphan girl. Oh, the preacher's wife gave me this book, saying, "Molly, I hope you will set down upon these pages your own memories of your lovely mother, Alice, your brave father, Charles, and all that has befallen you." Well, I'm not doing this. For I mean to write in secrecy, evil or good, my own true life. I know I am a spitfire and a burden. I do not care. For I'm a refugee girl, born before the surrender, hauled from pillar to post, as Mom always said, until we fetched up here in North Carolina after Columbia fell. I am the legal ward of my Uncle Junius, and I live in a house full of ghosts. Don't you want to know where I am? In a cubbyhole, right in the heart of the house, yet invisible to all. Come see. But first you'll have to come out to Agate Hill, riding up from the Haw River on the road, then along our dusty lane with trees and fields on either side. You can look back and see the whole countryside laid out like a dreamy quilt. And you can find agate and fool's gold, too. I keep a piece of fool's gold for good luck. Well, anyway, you come in the house. You walk all the way down the long hall, up the back stairs, through the bedroom on the left, into the closet, where you pull back the green dress, and then push real hard on the little low door, and then voila, welcome to my cubbyhole. Through this chink in the wall, I can see outside. Oh, there's Uncle Junius, old and white hair, dragging one leg as he walks toward the tenant house, hollering, Selena. Selena lives in the tenant house, but she's been working her way up into this house, too, ever since Aunt Fanny died. Oh, she comes to meet him. She's a tall woman with long black hair and strong as an ox. She wraps her arms around Uncle Junius like a vine, like poison ivy is what I say. Oh, Selena has been bossing us around. We must clean up this house to fare thee well for the arrival of Uncle Junius's sister, my Aunt Clydabelle from Alabama. Oh, you should see Selena sticking her broom under the bed and her rump sticking up in the air, but she doesn't care. She's got Spence carrying a whole mattress on his head with one hand. Oh, Spence is Uncle Junius's son, who walked home from the war insane and has hardly spoke since. But he's a big man in 34, but he looks a lot younger with such a blank face. But, oh, Spence is real sweet. Dear Diary, Aunt Clydabelle has arrived. She stepped down from her carriage with great difficulty, her middle too big to see over. My dear Junius, you look terrible. Oh, and Molly, you poor little thing. She's certainly a lot plainer than her mother, Alice. Rest assured, I shall take care of everything. And poor Spence is lifting trunk after trunk down from the carriage. And then, Mary White, come along now. And out pops her granddaughter like a puppet, all got up in a green taffeta dress and lace pantalettes like a princess in a fairy tale book. And she's pale as a princess, too. She says, I am sick. I could go any minute just like that, but I don't give a damn. And she rolled her eyes way back in her head. I just know we're going to be best friends. Mary White comes to the cubbyhole and does everything with me unless she's sick. I've been picking up bones for our bone collection. See? a coyote skull, cow leg bone, and this turkey foot that I ripped off a nail from the barn wall. I know this is cheating. But mostly, we play dolls. We make up love stories with Margaret and Robert E. Lee. Mary White's love story goes like this. Once there was this poor girl out washing clothes in a stream, when here comes this soldier, his jacket all covered with blood. Hello, pretty miss. Could I trouble you to wash the blood from my jacket, as I have been in a fearsome battle? Why, yes, sir. And she gives him some pound cake, too. Are you married? No, sir. Why, then would you do me the honor of becoming Mrs. Robert E. Lee? No, Molly, they can't lie down. They're not married yet. Now it's my turn. And I have Margaret and Robert E. Lee be engaged, but he's declared dead in the war. So she has to marry her ugly old neighbor. And Robert E. Lee comes in the night as her demon lover. Molly, he can't do that. Why not? He's supposed to marry her. He doesn't have to. He does so they can have babies. Well, maybe he doesn't want to have any babies. Molly, what? What is a demon lover? I don't know. But I found out. A demon lover is one who comes to you in the night and kisses you on the mouth. Mary White believes it may be an Assyrian. Out in the big field today, I almost stepped on this. The bones of a human hand, minus 2 fingers and the thumb. I said, look, Mary White. And we both sang out, head bone's connected to the neck bone's connected to the backbone. And we dug all around the field, but these bones were not connected to anything else. But Uncle Junius did say that on that same field, there had been a skirmish between the home guard and Sherman's bummers, and 3 men dead. Ah, this is a Yankee hand. This is the jewel of our phenomena collection so far. Dear Diary, we have been to Hillsborough to a tableau vivant, though I did not want to go at first because we had to stop at the house of Widow Brown and her 2 mean daughters who we hate, Adeline and Ida. They had this chaise long, just covered with all kinds of costume dolls. Oh, but don't touch that, Adeline. But then, to the tableau vivant at the Masonic Lodge, which was all lit up. The first tableau was the 9 muses, who all held their poses perfectly like statues. Oh, I wanted to be Tragedy, who looked up once and gave us a wink. The next tableau was the death scene of Romeo and Juliet. Romeo lying there dead, the vial of poison in his hand. And Juliet also dead, the dagger jutting up from her chest. Oh, dear diary, I want to live so hard and love so much that I will just use myself all the way up like a candle. I want to have a demon lover and also a real boy who will be my husband. I want to be in a tableau vivant myself. I want to be Tragedy. I want to be Juliet. I want to be Romeo. Thus, with a kiss, I die. It was the worst thing we've ever seen, dear diary, out in the forest. A Negro hanging by the neck, his body slowly turning, his head drooped to one side, his back a bloody mess. From whipping, I know this, it's the Ku Klux. We ran home and Mary White called, "Grandmama, the most terrible thing has happened." Girls, don't dramatize. Your Uncle Junius is gravely ill. I've called for Dr. Lambeth. But Grandmama, we saw a dead man hanging from a tree, a Negro. You did not. Girls, you did not see this. Do you understand? Yes'm, I said. Well, when Dr. Lambeth came, I grabbed him and I told him everything. I said, "You have to report this to the sheriff." And Dr. Lambeth said, "I will do so, Molly, but I cannot promise what the outcome will be." I do not understand. It's the middle of the night, and I could hear voices in Uncle Junius's room. Selena is announcing to Aunt Clydabelle that she and Uncle Junius plan to marry. Junius, that's preposterous. What about Agate Hill? He says Agate Hill is nothing but a monument to the vanity of men who have enslaved other men and to let it go. Sounds like Aunt Clydabelle will go too. Oh no. Mary White is leaving with Aunt Clydabelle. Through the chink, I can see her in a little red coat looking up here. I could not stand to go down there. I gave her the Yankee hand yesterday in the special ceremony, and we swore in blood to write. Oh, there she goes. And there's Selena vomiting in the snow. Her baby's starting to show. And with Uncle Junius at death's door, the doorbell was ringing for the first time in months. There's a tall man dressed all in black, his big black hat and mustache frosted with crystals of ice. "I am looking for Molly Petree." "I am Molly Petree." Of course you are. You look just like your mother, Alice." "I do not." "Oh, but you do. But allow me to introduce myself. I know who you are. You're Simon Black. I knew from the photographs of him with my father they were together in the war. It was hard to follow his strange speech like something in a play. "Molly, I'm here to fulfill the promise I made to your father so many years ago in the war. The fact is that even before the surrender, I rode away from this bloody and broken land. I'm sorry I returned too late for your mother, Alice, but not too late for you, Molly. I see that you will be in need of a guardian. I shall return to be at your service. I could not speak. I was terrified. I'm sorry I haven't written for so long, but all has been a blur since Uncle Junius died. First, Selena had Uncle Junius's baby. And then Selena's friend, this traveling man named Nicky X, showed up in his red suspenders and two-tone shoes, worse than a Yankee. And then something else started happening. I couldn't stop it. Nor did I want to. This Nicky X started touching me up and pushing himself against me, saying, "You like this, don't you, darling? You are a bad girl." So now this is the last time I will sit in my cubbyhole or write in my book. Because today, out in the barn, Nicky Egg pushed me down in the straw and started doing other things to me. When in comes Spence with a pitchfork, chasing him out and picking me up and carrying me like when I was little. And then out in the lane we run into this strange Simon Black again, but this time with a lady teacher from Gatewood Academy, which he says I'll be attending immediately by order of some judge. I do not even care. I am a bad girl.
Professor Farrell, we're so lucky that the Gatewood Academy Library saved this journal of Headmistress Maria Snow. She was so weird. And you'll see later why I have named this section Paradise Lost for John Milton and for other reasons. Also saved were some letters and the impressions written by the headmistress's sister, Agnes Rutherford.
First impressions, as duly reported by Agnes Rutherford to Headmistress Maria Snow, Gatewood Academy. Oh, Maria, my dear sister, I fear that I am unworthy of this task as chaperone to Molly Petree. She is asleep now in this carriage, and Mr. Simon Black rides outside with his servant Henry, an Aboriginal Indian, I believe, and quite well spoken. Now, where did she find him? Oh, but Maria, how can I begin to tell you of the very strange scene at Agate Hill? Well, first, upon our arrival, no one awaited us, though eventually a Mrs. Selena Hall stood on the piazza, blouse untucked and babe in arms. And Mr. Black bowed to her, saying, "Selena, I bring you condolences upon the death of your husband, Junius, as well as congratulations upon the birth of your child." "This is Solomon Junius Hall," she said. "My own little Junius." Mr. Black said, "That's a very large name for such a small child," which this Selena person said, yes, that he was actually too small, and she feared for his health. And then Maria, at this point, there appeared up the lane a giant carrying a filthy, dirty girl in his arms, and Mr. Black addressed them both. "Hello, Spencer. Good morning, Molly," introducing me as a teacher from Gatewood Academy, whereupon Molly ran into the filthy house and disappeared. Mr. Simon Black was still pacing angrily when we finally heard a voice. "All right, I'm ready." And Molly Petree descended the stairs as if she were making her entrance to a fancy dress ball, pausing on the piazza to say, "Goodbye, Selena, goodbye, little Judy." Underway in the carriage, I wondered what could I say to encourage this poor girl. And then it came to me. "I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help," etc. To which Molly responded, "The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore." "Oh, do you like that psalm?" I asked her. "Not so much," she said. "On the whole, I prefer a poem like the Lady of Shalott." She will be a handful, Mariah. Your sister, Agnes. The Journal of Mariah Rutherford Snow, Head Mistress, Gatewood Academy. Oh, why was I not blessed with a sunny disposition like that of my sister Agnes? For no one's eyes. Today, I commence this journal with my desire to cleanse and purify my own black soul, and my determination to curb my temper and impatience for the sake of my sons, my students, and for my husband, Dr. Snow, who requires it. Reading Agnes's impressions, already I'm sorely tested, and I blame Dr. Snow for this. He may be headmaster of this academy, but I work my fingers to the bone for it, and yet am told nothing of this decision. Who is this Molly Petree? Such a sullen and unkempt specimen. She would not even look at me. And who is this guardian, Simon Black, who delivered her here, aside from a tall, presumptuous man who once served as an Iron Scout in Wade Hampton's army? Upon departing, he said, "Ah, Mrs. Snow," as though he had been searching for me all his life. "I sense already that you are just the one to take Molly Petree in hand." Oh, well, we shall see. I felt myself flushing, a problem I've had of late. Dr. Snow explained that Simon Black has made a substantial investment to this academy. But Dr. Snow, that is bribery. On the contrary, Mariah, it is business. And he gripped my elbow, obviously worked up over the proceedings. "Dr. Snow, you're hurting my arm." And then he pulled me down upon the hall bench where, quite unexpectedly, he exercised his conjugal rights in broad daylight. I occupied myself by reciting the beginning of Paradise Lost. Finishing about the same time he did. Best now I remember these words of John Milton. "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." Heaven help me, Maria Snow. Mary White, at last, a letter from my old true friend. Oh, I wish we were back in the cubbyhole at Agate Hill. I can't stand it that you have to stay in that bed. And here I am at Gatewood Academy, so far away. Our headmistress, Mrs. Snow, says how sublime it is to suffer and to be strong. She loves to suffer. Oh, and she can recite all of Paradise Lost by heart. She's famous for it. Also, for this advice, have communion with few, be intimate with one. Deal justly by all, speak evil of none. But Mary White, I cannot imagine Mrs. Snow and Dr. Snow being intimate. She is a foot taller, and he looks like a little bandy rooster. Your best friend forever, signed in blood, Molly Petree. Further impressions as duly reported by Agnes Rutherford to Headmistress Maria Snow. During the picnic at Onalusky Mountain, a pensive Molly said, "This view reminds me of Agate Hill, and I miss Spencer." Spencer was the giant there, remember? And then Miss Reed began telling stories of Mount Olympus and the Muses. And Ida Brown announced, "Oh, we know all about the Muses, don't we, Adeline? We saw a tableau vivant about them." And Molly exclaimed, "Oh, I saw that too," whereupon Adeline said, "Oh, now I remember, she's that orphan, that bad girl from out in the country." Molly turned brick red and looked down. And then, "Well, what if she is an orphan?" cried Eliza Valiant. "It's wrong to make fun of people." "That's right," called Emma Page. "Come on, Molly, I'll race you to the bridge and back." And Maria, oh, Maria, they all took off in a flash. The result, our orphan Molly Petree is now the pet and darling of them all. I do not want Molly Petree to thrive. There, it is out. I confess, even while acknowledging her restrained deportment and excellent marks, I have not liked her. Even when she listened intently to the lecture on Eastern religion as some of the other girls dozed off, I've made a list of their names. How do we know what she was thinking, the little heathen? And now overnight, she's gone from being sullen to obstreperous. Her true nature comes out, as does mine. I must also confess that when I close my eyes to pray, I see his face, the face of Simon Black. God help me, Maria Snow. P.S. Gave birth. Oh, Maria. Maria, I'm sorry you are currently incapacitated by headache, but I must report that our Molly, having thrived for so long now, has suffered a setback. Today, I saw her standing out in the rain talking to an ill-dressed country boy, and I heard him say, "Spence is dead." It seems that the giant Spencer, whom she loved so, was shot while trying to protect a Negro boy. Molly sank down into the mud, sobbing and screaming. With assistance, I have deposited her in my own room, but she cries still, and I fear she's growing feverish. The entire academy has revolved around Molly Petree for days. It's Molly this and Molly that. The doctor says she has suffered shock, for which he charged us $8, the equivalent of a hog. And now the girls have formed a prayer chain with someone praying for her constantly, as if God had time for this. It would be just like her to die on us. I myself have paid a visit to Dr. Green. Abstinence, Mariah, he counseled me. Abstinence? Abstinence? With Dr. Snow? December 23rd, 1876. Molly has recovered with a vengeance. For Christmas, she is the guest of Eliza Valiant, riding off in a coach with a servant. While we have no money at all for our own boys' Christmas, they're merely shooting down mistletoe. Perhaps they will shoot their father by mistake. Oh, I'm so vile. I shall put gravel in my boots as a constant reminder of my blessings. O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. P.S. Gave birth. Oh, Mary White. For Christmas, I've been to Eliza Valiant's house in Charleston. Picture a huge white house with columns across the front, all hung with greenery and Spanish moss. Oh, Eliza's brother Ben he's tall and fair, like Eliza. And she says he's sweet on me. Oh, but Mary White, remember when we wanted to have a demon lover? Well, Ben Valiant will never be one of those. Oh, now, do you want to know how to be popular at dances? I learned this in Charleston. You say to each partner, "May I tell you a secret?" And then you whisper something in his ear. Doesn't matter what. It's the breath in the ear that does it. Mary White, why don't I hear back from you? Guess what? I've been asked to stay on as a teacher at Gatewood Academy. Dr. Snow says it's the wish of my benefactor, Simon Black. But at commencement, I did not get even the composition award. It went to Josie Covington, who's much too flowery and quivery, but Mrs. Snow is partial to Josie, and she does not like me. So I ran outside, and I realized no one had come to commencement for me. I am still an orphan girl, loose in the world. Well, maybe I like it that way. And then I heard Agnes call. A tall man in black had arrived. Oh, Mary White, must I be forever beholden to Simon Black? Simon Black arrived. It's been said it's never too late. Indeed, I was prepared to say, farewell, happy fields where joy forever dwells. Hail horrors, hail infernal world. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. But the cold fact is, Simon Black is the devil. And he wanted me only as a caretaker for Molly Petree, whom he intends to claim as his own. I wonder how much one should punish oneself for a sin committed only in the mind. Mary White, we're leaving here, Agnes and myself. Yesterday, I was standing out in the rain, like I love to do, my dress all wet and sticking to me, when Dr. Snow appeared. And, well, he tried to pull me into his office, and I kicked him, Mary White. And then I ran to tell Agnes. Then today, when Mrs. Snow insisted that I had attempted to seduce her husband, Agnes said, "Molly, we'll be leaving here as soon as possible." Agnes is a heroine.
Dr. Farrell, I recently learned that the Gatewood Academy closed its doors in 1880 after Simon Black withdrew his financial aid. Mrs. Snow was put into the state insane asylum in the state of Virginia. Dr. Snow disappeared. If you want to know what happened to Molly and Agnes, just keep reading. The next document is Agnes's final impressions. It was on file at the Ashe County Public Library in West Jefferson, North Carolina.
The second day of July, 1912. I suppose you might call these the final impressions of Agnes Rutherford. This piece of fool's gold was given to me by Molly Petree on the day she married. Oh my. Was I in any way to blame for what was to come in her life? Taking her away so precipitously to these mountains? It was 34 years ago that an old maid school teacher and a pretty girl journeyed for days by public coach, first to Winston-Salem, on past Grandfather Mountain, through the Deep Gap, finally arriving at the Ashe County boarding house of Miss Martha Fickling. Why, Lord, looky here what the cat's drug in. The new school teachers. You must be plumb wore out. Have some pound cake. I had 2 pieces. Molly, 3. And then the superintendent confided, "This is a mighty rugged county, ladies. We usually hire men." The Bobcat School is an abandoned one-room schoolhouse up on the South Fork of the New River, where old man Memorable Jones claims he's got a grandson too smart to grow up like him, can't read a lick and ain't got a pot to piss in. Oh, ladies, pardon my French. "We'll take it," I said. "We like a challenge, don't we, Molly?" Well, we forded creeks. We passed through dense pine forest, up to a sunny rise where stood the Bobcat School. I can still see Molly ringing that bell, barefoot children climbing the red hills swinging their lunch buckets. We brought books with us, blueback spellers, McGuffey readers, and 2 Bibles. We did so much reciting we were called the Blab School. Molly had come into her own, but she turned away suitors, even Ben Valiant, who came up here to court her. I said, "Molly, your future would be made, you little nitwit," I wanted to say. But Agnes, she said, "I don't love him. He's too nice." And then Martha Fickling chimed in, oh, hell, if it ain't there, it ain't there. The chemistry. Just like there can come an attraction between two people, even unlikely ones, that's going to last, though all hell breaks loose and longer than death. So, I resolved to quit worrying. Oh, Mary White, this is the biggest news yet, and it's about me, and it's my own true love story. I was at a barn raising party with Martha Fickling when a sudden shout went up, "Hey, Jack! Hey, Jackie, oh!" And in walked a man with a wide hat and a big grin and a banjo slung across his shoulder. He seemed to make everybody feel better just walking into the room. And then he started playing, and the dancing picked up. And I joined in. I love to dance, and I'm good at it.
Fly around my bananas, fly around my daisy, fly around my bananas, drive me crazy.
And then I saw the banjo player was looking at me. And then he followed me outside for air. He said, "My name is Jackie Jarvis, and I've been looking for you all my life." Oh, that's such a lie. You never even heard of me before. He said, "Well, maybe I dreamed you up." I felt his breath on my neck. And Martha was calling. He said, "Listen, I'm coming to see you tomorrow. You don't know where I live. You don't even know who I am. I'll find out. Don't come tomorrow. Come Sunday when everybody's at church." Oh, Mary White, he came. He said, "I reckon I'll have to hold church for you right here. You may not let me in. I'm a bad girl." "Oh, there ain't no such a thing in my church." "What is your church?" "The Jackie Jarvis Church of Light, Love, and Redemption for All." "Got me a gospel group. We're the Angel Band. We're the Rag Mountain Ramblers on Saturday night and the Angel Band on Sundays."
So glad when this life is over, I'll fly away.
Oh, Mary White, we did fly away on Jackie's horse to a place he called Man Bone Rock, where he spread out a blanket and sat down across from me Indian style. And then he leaned forward and touched his lips to mine. He said, "Now, I want to know all about you. Start talking." And so I told him about Mom and Papa and the war. I told him about Agate Hill and Uncle Junius and Selena and little Junie. I told him about you, Mary White. He was chewing on a long straw like he had all the time in the world. So I told him about Agnes and Gatewood Academy. I even told him about Simon Black and his servant Henry. I said, now it's your turn." He said, "Well, me and my cousin BJ run a store up on the top of Rag Mountain. You can spit off the porch and hit Tennessee. There's about 20 of my family lives up there, give or take a few on any given day, and several of them plays music. We hold dances up on top of the store." Oh, I want to go there. I want to go dancing on top of the store." "No, it ain't no place for a lady like you." "I'm not a lady." "Oh, but you've been to lady school." And he pinned my arms behind my back. I said, "Well, maybe it didn't take." And maybe this was my demon lover, I thought. And the next thing I knew, he was camping out down by the river near the Bobcat School. I said, "What are you doing here? Don't you have a job?" He said, "This here's my job. I'm getting to know you." Well, we'd been lying together on his quilt all one afternoon when he said, "Molly, you have to go home now." "No." "Yes, ma'am." "Don't call me that." And I started putting my clothes back on real slow, watching him all the while. I said, "Take me with you." He walked back and forth, and then he stopped. And he said, "All right, Molly, but I reckon I'll have to marry you." "All right," I said. And we jumped on his horse and rode off. So now he would be my husband too, Mary White. At last, my own true love story for you from Molly.
A warning, Dr. Farrell. There's some mystery left in this wrap-up. But this next document was from a court trial.
Wilkes County, North Carolina. The 18th day of November, 1907. The testimony of B.J. Jarvis. "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. She never done it. Molly Petree could not have done this thing if her life depended on it," which I reckon it does. Start at the beginning? Yes, sir. Well, me and Jackie was born cousins, but we was raised as brothers. When I first seen Molly was when Jackie come riding up with her, hollering, "BJ, get yourself out here. I done gone and got me a wife." And I thought, oh, Lord. Because the truth is, Jackie Jarvis was just not the marrying kind. He loved his women like he loved his liquor and his music. Wouldn't think a woman would want a man like that. I think she'd rather have somebody reliable, such as myself. But, oh, yes, sir, I'll get right on with it. Molly Petree is a fine lady, but we were not beneath her, as they say. Right away, she loved that old cabin with the big porch they moved into. And she'd come in the store and be shaking hands with everybody. And she was even nice to our Aunt Belle, who was crazy. With all due respect, sir, I don't know why you keep saying the scene of the crime. There wasn't no crime that I know of, leastways not involving her. Oh, the store? The store was my life, sir. We sold everything from cradles to caskets. And much as Molly loved the dance hall on top of the store, it wasn't long before she was behind the counter, tying up pretty little packages and adding up the sums in her head. Folks had come from all around to see her do it. They was plumb crazy about Molly. And Jackie was too. I'll have to hand it to him. I reckon that was our heyday up on Rag Mountain. Well, one time Miss Agnes Rutherford and them from Bobcat come up. Such a reunion. "Oh, Molly. Oh, Agnes, I'm so happy I just had to do it. And ain't no telling what she might do next," Jackie chimed in. And he picked up his banjo. Then I come around with hot biscuits and fresh coffee. Well, wasn't long after that before Mr. Simon Black come wanting to buy up Rag Mountain like he was watching over us. It was a good thing, too, because Molly was coming into her slipping down years. Well, like not one of her babies lived. Diphtheria, stillbirth, you name it. She didn't have nothing but a row of dead rock babies up on that mountain. And a husband in a red bow tie who had took to traveling in a rolling store he had got up. Oh, there was lots Lots of stories about the two of them. Only true part being Jackie running around on her. But she kept cheerful, held her head up, run to meet him every time he come home. Jackie done the same, picking her up, swinging her around, kissing her in front of anybody. Why, one time, in the middle of the night, I seen Molly and Jackie out on their porch a-waltzing. Molly wearing the shiny blue dress he had brought her. I have to say, whatever the spark was between the two of them, it did not go out. So there ain't no way she could have killed him. We even buried him ourselves up on that mountain with the rock babies to the tune of Angel Band. Molly was wearing that shiny blue dress. She knelt down by the grave, scooped up some dirt, pressed it to her mouth, and kissed it, and then threw it on the grave, saying, "Goodbye, honey." And then she walked away, the dirt and tears streaming down her face and dress. Now you reckon... The gun? Yes, sir. Well, the sheriff's deputy was waiting for us, and he said they found a pistol in the ashes. The fire at the store. Well, Jackie must have come in late, stopped at the store to unwind, as was his wont. Molly woke in the night to smell the smoke, and she come running up to the store. I got there to find her bent down over Jackie's body, all bloody, pulling on his legs. I had to pry her away just as the whole store fell in. Molly would have died herself of trying to save Jackie if I'd have let her. So help me God.
Gather round, ye young lovers, and I will tell how a match struck in heaven and end up in hell. There was two lovers met at a dance one night. They fell in love by the fire's bright light. Well, it burned them up like a fire will do. Now there ain't nothing left but ashes and rue. Jackie's gone, fare thee well. Jackie's gone. Jackie's gone, fare thee well. Jackie's gone.
Finally, back in my cubbyhole. April 7th, 1927. It was 54 years ago that I last wrote on these pages. It was 20 years ago that I was for 3 months in the Wilkesboro jail waiting for the trial. I did not go out for exercise. I allowed no preacher's visits. I was too busy remembering my Jackie. The one-sided grin that always asked a question. double-jointed thumbs. The way he looked at me when he wanted me to come to him.
Jackie's gone, fare thee well. Jackie's gone.
Standing room only, someone called from the courthouse lawn. As they swore me in, I could see my dear Agnes there on the second row. And then Martha Fickling burst in, signaling me, "Buck up, honey. Don't let the bastards get you down." It's the first time I'd smiled in months. "Mrs. Jarvis, have you ever seen this weapon before?" Why, of course. I saw it every day. It was the gun we kept under the counter at the store. And then they called up Jackie's cousin, BJ, who went on and on, bearing his soul and setting me free. Three days after the trial, Simon Black's servant Henry appeared, saying that Mr. Black was very ill, and at Agate Hill, which he had bought after I left. I said, "I'm going back with you, Henry." And we rode together past the overgrown fields to an Agate Hill that was almost gone. I pushed open the groaning door, and the white-haired Simon Black rose with great effort. "Alice?" No. "It's Molly, her daughter." And then this extraordinary little person slipped under Simon Black's shoulder to support him. He was quite short, with a large head. And was he blind? "Molly, this is my little friend that I found running wild out in the woods. It's Selena's son, Junie." "Oh, Solomon Junius Hall." He smiled big at the sound of his name. I remembered him so small in Selena's arms. "Well, hello, Junie. I am Molly." "Molly," he said, his hands skittering over my face like a hummingbird. "Junie, you come help me in the kitchen." I woke in the night to do an unimaginable yet sweet and peaceful thing. To lie beside Simon Black, which I continued to do until his death, when I found his note thanking me for giving his life a purpose. Now, Henry and Junie are out working in the garden. On Saturday, we take the vegetables and eggs to market. Henry drives the car. I add the sums and tell the stories. He holds the basket. Junie holds the basket of eggs. As the land flows past, tree, rock, fence, and flower, all the hours, all the days. Junie waves to everybody. Oh, I could not do without my little man as Simon called him. Now, I know what they're saying about us in town, and I say to hell with them. Sometimes I trade all the eggs for ice cream. Junie and I put bourbon in it and make ourselves a milkshake. Other times, I recite for him. From Hiawatha's childhood, he loves to say, "Gitchy gooey." "Say it, Mama Lee," he begs. And I do. I save the world for him. And Junie has certain gifts. Folks drive out here to be heard or touched or healed by him. Out here, we're a part of the earth and the sky, the living and the dead, and we make no distinction between them. And now I will tell my story of Jackie's death. For it's a love story too, as are all stories in the end. I would do it all again, every bit of it, just to see his face, my demon lover, my Jackie boy, my husband.
Jackie's gone, fare thee well. Jackie's gone.
I walked into the store to find Jackie lying on the floor, blood everywhere. He said, "Molly, help me." He had been shot in the gut. "For God's sake, Molly, help me." He was trying but couldn't reach the gun lying on the floor. "Get the gun, Molly." I got it for him. But he couldn't hold it. "Please, honey." So I took the gun in both hands, and I shot him in the neck. And then I lay there beside him. I would have done anything for my Jackie. And then BJ came in, jerked me up, saying, "Get over there, Molly, or I will kill you too." And then BJ threw kerosene all over the back of his beloved store, setting fire to all of it. BJ wanted to save me. BJ loved me. I know that now. But how could he shoot my Jackie? Sometimes I wake in the night to find Agate Hill in the moonlight, and it's a magical place again. And here's this wild girl, Molly, as wild and full of longing as ever. An old woman and still a child. I know that Mary White is gone now too, off into the world of light. But I I can see her arriving in her green taffeta dress. Mary White, our phenomena collection is still here. Should we collect more bones? Or maybe one more love story. See? Here's Jackie and Molly riding off on Jackie's horse to Man-Bone Rock. Oh, Mary White, I'm glad I gave all my heart. As a girl, I thought I could not leave Agate Hill and my ghosts. But now I understand that love does not reside in places or even in bodies, but in the spaces between them, and in the living heart and memory until that's gone too. And we are all of us wanderers, as we have always been, upon this earth.